Processed foods are making us fat and keeping us fat. Let me show you.
When you take a natural product and remove all the fiber, you get a processed product. Because all the fiber's been removed, we can eat and eat and eat this and never really get full. This processed product will spike glucose and insulin levels. Every single carbohydrate in nature is packaged in fiber, even sugar itself packaged in fiber.
Glucose levels or blood sugar levels are the blue line. They spike when we eat processed foods and they crash shortly after. And when they crash, we are hungry again. But the main thing to look at is the purple line. That's insulin. When we're on the blood sugar roller coaster, look what happens to the insulin levels. They're elevated all day long. And this creates what we call a negative feedback loop. Why? Because elevated insulin levels make us hungry all the time. These experiments show that elevations in insulin produce increased hunger and also a heightened perceived pleasantness of sweet taste and increased food intake. What that means, if we didn't already know, is that junk food is pretty darn addictive. Here's something else that insulin does. Insulin inhibits lipolysis. That means that elevated insulin levels are actually making it difficult for our bodies to burn stored fat. This is important because we have over 100 million people in this country that are either pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic. And guess what most of them are being told? Eat all the time. Keep eating regularly. Now, a bodybuilder with lots of muscle mass and no body fat needs to eat all the time because they have no fat fuel. But most of us have hundreds of thousands of calories of available energy stored as body fat. The body was designed to burn fat for fuel when food is not readily available. This is why intermittent fasting is such an effective way to burn body fat for fuel. We're keeping insulin levels low, and when insulin levels are low, that's a message to the body to burn fat for fuel.
In the American diet, we are feeding all the time, which keeps insulin elevated all the time, which means the body is storing fat all the time. Whereas with intermittent fasting, you have periods of the day where insulin levels are typically low, and that's a message to the body to be burning fat for energy. If you feel like you're on this blood sugar roller coaster, you're feeling hungry all the time and have elevated insulin levels and are becoming insulin resistant, here's a free tip. Give yourself intentional periods of the day where you're fasting, keeping insulin levels low and burning body fat for fuel. Then at mealtimes, avoid processed food, get lots of fiber, and focus on protein and healthy fat. I've done lots of videos on this. You can see them in my fiber and fasting playlist.